Have you ever wondered what is the best way to multiply your plants in the cheapest way possible? So in today's video, I'll be covering about air layering. So air layering is more of a complex technique that us gardeners use to create dwarf plants. We use air layering commonly for making plants dwarf, in this case fruit trees, that majority of them are huge trees and not a lot of gardeners have space for fruit trees. So then they alternate for dwarf trees, and those come from air layered plants as well. So let me go ahead and jump straight into this video. So first things first is you're gonna need a couple materials to go ahead and complete this air layering process. So let's go over it. So coming in number one is rooting hormone. Rooting hormone just brings up the chances of your plant taking root. So I would recommend getting any type of rooting hormone. Doesn't matter what brand, you can use the brand that you love the most. I use Garden Safe, which I've used for years and have had good experiences with it. Coming at number two is a Ziploc bag with a growing medium that retains a lot of moisture. In this case, I'm using coco coir as I've had good experiences with it, but you could also use sphagnum moss or peat moss, anything that retains a lot of moisture. You'll need a clean, sterile blade. You can use a razor, or in this case, I'm using a box cutter. Next is tape. I use clear tape. I've also used duct tape, so use whatever you have on home, but something that is thick, just like this. And finally, a piece of foil, and you'll see why you'll need this. So if I move aside, you'll see that I have one air layering experiment going on right now, and I will show you how this one is going on. I've had this one for about a month already, and I'll show you the update once we get to the end of this video, so make sure you stick around. So first things first is you want to choose a sturdy wooded stem, just like this one. I'll be using this air layering technique on my mulberry, which I've had really great success with. Just make sure you have a sturdy, thick wooded branch, because only air layering technique would work with a wooded branch like this. So the first thing is you want to make sure you locate a node. So this node is where a leaf used to be connected with it, or a branch or a very tiny branch emerged from it. This is what a node is. This is really important. So step one, locate the node. Step two is you want to go ahead and peel off the first layer of bark that surrounds that node, and you want to go all the way around. So let me do that. Step two is you want to get your Ziploc bag with the growing medium. Get your blade and cut a line down the center of it horizontally, like so. Then you want to go ahead and get your rooting hormone. This is the one I use, and apply it right there. Then you're gonna pull the bag outwards, and then you will place it around the wound, like so, and then tightly grip it around it, just like so. Once you have it like this, you're gonna get your tape and wrap it tightly around the whole thing. I forgot to mention to make sure your medium is pre-soaked before you do this technique. And once it's tightly around the branch, then you'll get your tin foil and wrap it around the whole thing, just like so. Now, a few things you must keep in mind is, one, the foil's there to make sure that the soil and everything in there is in the dark, because the roots will develop when it's best dark. Second, the reason why you want to make sure the growing medium is pre-soaked is because you cannot water this whatsoever. You can't undo this, water it, and then place it back in, because that seal or that wound will callus over and you won't have any roots develop. So you must make sure that your growing medium is pre-soaked in order for it to work. So here's an experiment of air layering that I did about 1 month ago, and it's time for me to check it and see if it's good enough to start a new plant. So here is the foil, and so once you remove the foil out, you will see, look at this, you see all these roots that have developed already. This is ready to be taken out and planted. So once you see nice roots develop, it's time to go ahead and remove it from its mother plant. The way you do it is just cut below it, like so. So now I'm going to show you how to plant it and then how to care for it. So in my case, since my air layered plant is a fruit tree, I'll be planting it in a 3-gallon size container. You also want to make sure you bring back that rooting hormone. So it's really important you know what type of growing medium you'll be using. So it's really important what growing medium you'll use. Just make sure that it's well draining, it is fertilized with a biostarter fertilizer, and it's aerated as well. I make my own. I mix topsoil, perlite, coco coir, espuma biotone fertilizer. I mix it all together and it makes a great growing medium for my plants. Get yourself a blade and carefully start cutting the bag open. You want to make sure you don't cut any roots, as that will be a huge issue. Look at that. You could even see the roots. So slowly by slowly, you want to remove the bag. You don't want to rush it too much, as you could possibly break the roots, and you don't want that to happen. Look at that beauty. Look at this. This is why you do it. And so now you have a developed plant that is a dwarf. So then what I'd recommend is to rough up the root systems a very little bit, so then it gets out of that format of the Ziploc bag, and just go ahead and plant it like if you were to plant a regular plant. Then I'd recommend placing a little bit of rooting hormone on it, as that will help it develop more roots and establish in the pot. So once you planted it, you want to make sure you well water it, as you want to make sure those roots are hydrated and your plant starts growing. Something else I would recommend is to remove any type of dead branches, any type of dead leaves, so the plant can store more energy into producing more branching, better roots, and eventually fruit. So a few things you should keep in mind about caring for a air layered plant or recently potted air layered plant is, one, you want to make sure that they're in partial sun. You don't want to expose them into full sun too early, because they're still very vulnerable at this stage. So I'd recommend putting them or placing them in an area that receives partial sun. Number two is to make sure that they are well hydrated. Since they have been without water in a span of a month to 2 months, those roots will be very dehydrated. So you want to make sure that you water them in a well at least once every day until you see signs of new growth. Number three is to want to make sure that the plant is well fed, especially since we're growing it in a medium like coco coir that is not fertile. You want to make sure that they're being well fed by earthworm castings or any type of fertilizer you have on hand. Make sure to feed them right away. Number four is to stay vigilant when it comes down to plants like this. Since it's very vulnerable, they could be very, very easy to be attacked by pests and diseases. So keep your eye out, check the leaves, and treat the plant as soon as possible if you catch it with an infestation of pests or disease. And finally is to watch your plant grow. It's really fun to grow plants that are air layered. So that's what I would recommend. Be patient, see your plant grow, and then do whatever you want with it. Usually I grow air layered plants to resell them, as I already have too many plants in my backyard. So it's always really fun to figure out what you'll do next with your plants. So make sure you leave a like underneath this video if you found this video informative. Make sure to subscribe if you aren't already subscribed to the channel. Thank you all so much for watching. May God bless you and your entire family, and never forget to grow big, ultimate gardeners. Bye, everyone.